Are we ready? Yes. Okay. Welcome to Open Mic Night number, there's?
18.
18? Number 18. So, we've obviously been going 18 months. And as you know, we get close to Christmas next week, my brain is totally frazzled. So, if I haven't spoken to you today and I haven't met you yet, my name is Blaise. I'm part of the Busybird publishing team, so welcome. It's great to see so many people. We thought there might be 5 of us tonight, being so close to Christmas, but obviously you all love coming, so that's great, thank you. So, we have quite a few people on our list to read, which is fantastic, but it does mean that I'm going to limit the time, like we did last month, but we'll go 4 minutes this time instead of 3. So, just be aware of that. So, once the bell goes, Les is going to time it this time because I felt really mean, so he can be mean tonight. So you'll hear a bell. You don't have to stop dead on that word. Finish that line or whatever. Otherwise we'll be here till midnight. So, first thing we're going to do, now Kev is actually videoing this as we do every month. We do put it up on YouTube. So if you don't want to be on YouTube, please tell us so that we can cut you out. And it doesn't also mean that everyone will get on if it gets taken, because sometimes we have technical issues and something might happen. So don't get upset with us if you don't end up on there. It's not because we dislike you. So the first order of tonight is we're going to launch Marcello's book. So, here it is. Da-da-da. Hot off the press today, literally arrived at midday. So I was starting to sweat a little bit because I thought we had like 2 proof copies, and I thought that's going to be a bit embarrassing if we launch a book and we've only got 2 copies. So this book is available to purchase tonight for $15 if you'd like to get it signed by the author while he's here. Anyone who's been coming here often to our open mic nights, you should know Marcello because he's a regular here and he's been a fantastic supporter of everything that we're doing here at Busybird, and we really appreciate that. So, The Voyages of the Boy from Ginostra is a book of poetry and art. It's in full colour. So there's lots of his sketches. That's the one actually that got auctioned at our Walk With Me launch a few weeks back. So that's gone off into the world now. You probably missed that one, don't you, Marcello? So
it's for a good cause.
Good cause.
Kevin deserved that.
Yeah, and so there's colour images as well. So this is, a collection of Marcello's life work, really. Yeah, and on the back is the little island where he comes from, which is actually an active volcano. Is it still active now?
Every day.
Every day? so we've done sort of got the Italian on the back, we've done a kind of a double cover. So without further ado, I would love to officially launch Marcello's book, and we're going to get him to come up and have a read. So congratulations, Marcello. Well done.
Actually, I might forego my reading if I can use the 4 minutes for different.
Whatever you like.
Well, I've been, when by chance, Blaise's mother's friend told me about this place, I just turned up because I used to go to another poetry reading group, but I heard a lot about Margaret, I think she does some artwork and like that. And so I come up here, as soon as I went around sort of the corner there and I saw this little building, I fell in love with it. It was love at first sight. I didn't know what was inside, but I came in here, but once I came inside, it got worse. I did, and I looked, and I've been around the world. I've taught in 4 continents, but once I got suddenly something happened, and I've said it feels like a miniature, sort of a Florentine Medici little workshop, because the talent that I've seen in the last 16, I missed the first 16 open nights, has been incredible. From music, from singing, from poetry or prose and other art forms, has been incredible. And I had the pleasure, and I was able to exhibit my artwork here last year, and it was an experience because I always wanted a place like this. And here we are in sort of 20 kilometers from the city and 3 kilometers from where I live. We've got this incredible place where we can be free, we can express ourselves. Now we've got a time constraint, which is important because we get more and more people in. And the efficiency that I've been involved in writing most of my life. I've worked in newspapers, I've worked, contributed, and I still do overseas. But the way this publication came about was so easy. It was incredible. It's like a miracle. I know it is, but we hardly met. I submitted the work. We decided what to do. Blaise directed the rest, and here it is. This, in fact, does represent almost 60 years of my life. It's poetry in Italian and English, and some are directly involving me, and some anecdotes which have been told to me, and also at the same time some of my artwork. And in fact here we go back to 1961, so that's how old I am, at least. And so it represents the various artwork that I do, from sculpture to prints to watercolors to light drawings, the whole lot. And it's just to say to people, in a way, to thank people that are going to read it, and hoping that I can bring some joy, because there are some sad poems, especially one that I wrote, I started penning when Ryan got hanged. And I was so upset, not because he didn't deserve or whatever, but people think, and I was still at a young age, and that was always in the back of my mind until I had to write that poem, sort of what I felt then. So, even though, because I'm able to sort of do something today, and I might finish in 10 years' time, I hope. And because you never finish an artwork. Like Picasso said once, look, you think you've reached the top of the ladder, but if you look closer, there is another step, and then another one, another one. It's a continuous process. This is, and 74 years of my life, I was 74 long ago, and in 60 odd pages, but that represents a life that I've really enjoyed. I've been lucky enough to do what I always wanted to do. And I've shared a lot of joy and sadness with so many people, but at the end of the day, we're still here, and the miracle keeps going. As I said before, it's the magic is still here. And in fact, this is a kind of a magic book, where we can imagine a lot of things, and we create our own imagery. And if we ever go, we look at the stars, they're there every night. And when we are feeling low, down and out, the poem is not working, or whatever we are doing, the paint doesn't mix properly, all we've got to think, stop and think, hang on, the stars will be there tonight and tomorrow night. And so will we. Thank you. One little poem. I wrote this in the island when I went back, and I was going away, coming back here. This was after my 7th or 8th trip. And I was very, very sad, because I went for an early morning swim, and everything was still. About 6 o'clock in the morning, the fog had already lifted, everything was light blue sky, like the sea was 2001. It's said to part. Perhaps it's better not to say goodbye. Why destroy with superfluous words all our immense love that will remain sculpted eternally in the night of time? Goodbye. The why. And this happened, within 20 minutes, the weather changed. The wave crashes against the rocks, shaped in the millennium. Perhaps one day not far away it will become calm, but the signs of its brutal force shall be there forever. You see there, it's so brutal that the rocks of the millennium being shaped in so many different forms, that's incredible. Sea and sky. Because, I was in blue, this is blue, so that's what this afternoon, Blaise was in blue. The horizon disappears, the aquamarine blue of the sea merges with that of the cobalt sky. It resembles a painter's palette. We can see in the distance white splashes. Are they seagulls or sailing boats?
Heavy?
Yes.
Can you pull the line down? Because the sun's coming in at a slant and it's in people's eyes. Thank you, Marcello. Yeah, so you can't see. Is anyone feeling hot? Yep. Over there, come on. Take a 20-second break.
It moves.
Okay, so this is available for sale tonight for $15. We take cash or card. Beautiful Christmas present, and you can put a table up the back for signing it. So rather than get paid in bread, it's good to get paid in money. So thank you much, hello. So I have to decide who goes next. Joe, Dolce, or did he disappear? Joe. I'll let you go.
Okay, well...
So you got 4 minutes, so you're going to get donged if you go.
That's okay. It's Kev's birthday, you know that. Kev's birthday, happy birthday. Unfortunately, I don't think he'll be getting a letter from the Queen. But he might get a letter from the King. If I blow 100 and Charles wears the ring, will I be receiving a letter from the King? A special court telegram with royal cheer and laughter on my 100th, 105th, and every birthday after. If I drew a lucky gene and called in all my bets, I'd get a swag of kingly letters then. I could collect the set. But the sound of it is awful. Somehow feels all wrong, like Lord Godiva, side saddle, or Fairy and Queen Kong. A postcard from Her Majesty. Now that's the proper gift, although the custom started way back with George V. Though not much to look forward to, Kev, a letter from the King. No matter how you say it, it doesn't have the ring. Okay, in this, I'll play one excerpt from a 15-part, 15 vignettes on the Narcissus myth, and I'll dedicate this to Houston. I wasn't going to do this, but I've never performed it live, and I've been learning it for 14 years. Because it was originally written for Baroque instruments and choral, but I decided I want to teach myself how to play it. So anyway. Okay, it's the Narcissus myth. I'll bring you into where it is. It's Liriope, Liriope, the mother of Narcissus, has just been raped by the river god, and she's been taken aside by the local spirits and put into protection while she has the baby. Sure. Liriope, Liriope, she was such a lovely nymph, and for her shape and fair. The river god suffices, did the ensnare and rape. surely to perish, surely to perish, but for the Dryad's care. The Ryope, surely to perish, but for the Dryad's care. The Ryope, she was such a lovely nymph, full in shape and fair. How many more seconds have we got?
I don't know, this is the timer.
38 seconds.
Well, next week, so we can look at the timer. Actually, the first poem and the last poem, the most recent ones have been published by Lesmiri. So I'll read you this last one, which is about my time in Hawaii. It's called Souls. Some words form souls of other words. In Hawaiian, ua, rain, is the soul of hua, fruit, pua, flower. Ua sounds the way rain feels, ua. Rain falls in kaua, us, and aloha kaua, may there be love between us.
Thanks, Joe. Lin van Hek. Come on down. 2 doses.
Whoa, one down.
I'll start with and then I really would rather read a short story, but I'm a bit worried about because Blaise was on the buzzer at the Society of Women's Writers and she buzzed me off. She wouldn't get off, no, very promptly. So I'm just going to read a little poem. It's called Visits with My Wicked Charmer Dad. My wicked charmer Dad and I are on the beach. Seagulls crying above swoosh of waves. I lean over his shoulder, my brown child's arms around his neck. A girl has come to my house, a girl as loud as the sky. He takes me by my ear handles and flips me over his shoulders. He could do magic like that, my wicked charmer Dad. My wicked charmer Dad had a Scottish girlfriend who did a snake dance at the Tivoli in her undies. She called me wee lass. I told my mother all the ladies at the Tivoli talked about their tits in the dressing room. Tits are all right, said my mother, but it's better to keep them where you can't see them. Then she gave me a slap. I was becoming too much like my wicked charmer Dad. That's it. So I'm going to try and do this short story. I'm going to speed read it. It's called A Piano for Christmas. When I was young, belonging to a family of avaricious women, unmolested by their preoccupation with our fatherless state, our manless harbour, I stood often in my heelless shoes at the window on the second floor of our home, the hotel painted to resemble pink marble opposite the market. We saw each other rarely. My mother, her sister, her mother, they trembled together in alcoholic saturation, violently colourless at the bar, swaying side by side, estimating their gains and losses with witless morbidity, while I dreamed and paced in my upstairs room, often at the window. There was no flourish of domestic vulgarity in the dark passages of numbered rooms, no litters of babies, steaming soups, nor clashes of spouses. The snatches of conversation, unadulterated by honeyed smoochings or meandering dialogue, were what, if anything, bound us together as a family. It was in such a snatch that grandmother, with robot-like sentiment, said, "We must get you a piano for Christmas." It was just inside the swinging doors. We stood close together, closer than I liked. The neon lights were already on in the late afternoon. They coloured her arms green, her hair violet. She gave off a tragic grotesquerie. I, as a spectator to this colour madness, felt uncomfortable, in fact nervous. I did, as I still do in such moments, begin to itch horribly. It wasn't until she'd moved on to soak the floorboards in the toilet that I thought of the piano. It was a crisis of feelings. I sizzled in a froth of ultra-refined frenzy. The uproar of my acrobatic heart obstructed my journey down the all-at-once splendid corridor that led to my room. She then, with maximum elasticity, forgot the undertaking. My enthusiasm intensified, but I was obliged to be impassive. The smoking activity of my imagination began to chill. The forgetting of the piano was sickeningly gradual, but since I was as yet unformed, I relaxed into the defeat, finally plunging into the abysses of my discordant youngness. A year or so passed. The organiser of public entertainments, Mario, was eating his pounded meal hurriedly. Chips of chop fat hung from his fork on his way to his mouth. Till there was nothing on his plate, he talked about pianos, piano players, full of size, unreserved. "You should have one." My grandmother, her hands going deeper into her apron pockets, liked him. "Well, we're going to get her one for Christmas." She turned to adjust the ventilation, sustained a hook thumb gesture towards me on my knees, retrieving dropped silver coins from under the fringed fridges. Who votes for me to finish? Revolution! Throw Les out! Alright, I'll just read the last line, which I'm incredibly happy with. So the whole story takes place, and they go and get the piano and they pull it on casters down the... So it ends. I was growing up lean and flat-bellied. My delicate feelings no longer clashed or churned. My adolescent feet could now kick insolently. I had forgotten heaven. The shaded half-tones were locked in the mystic vaults of my shackled childhood. The clamour of tumultuous scarlet womanhood was aggressively steaming my windscreen. The piano trilled, its pedals industriously indifferent, still showered the troops daily. An occasional groggy Debussy took my attention as I arabesqued through the lounge on my devil's way out.
Thank you, Mama.
Pleasure, darling.
You know, it actually is all Lin's fault that Busybird exists, because when I was a kid, books were everything. Had nothing to do with pianos. My love of books is because of her. So thank you.
I'm going to get your piano though.
Now, as you know, we're all about books, and of course this is a beautiful Christmas present. The Secret Smile by Gay Miller is a fantastic Christmas present, or birthday present, or whatever, as well. Gay will get up in a while to read. Page 17 is an anthology of short stories and poems, and some non-fiction, creative non-fiction. So this is an anthology that we've produced. So there's lots of different authors in there. Then there's Kev's Walk With Me book, with all the photos around the room. We have actually only got, I think, 12 books left, Kev? 12 or 15 books left.
Out of 200.
Out of 200, which was our first print run. This first print run was a limited edition, so all of the books actually have a number inside. Must have mixed up the number, because this says 100 out of 200, but we've sold more than that. So that's a great Christmas present. So spread the word if you know if anyone would like to buy some great Christmas presents. Actually, I might have Gay up. So a perfect segue.
Pardon me if I get nervous. This is a very personal poem, and it's the first time for some personal reasons that I'm able to talk about this. When Mummy left, There's a special place in my heart for my dad and my brother. The ties between us are different from any other. We've been through rough times, just us three, when Mummy left us. My daddy, my brother and me. I remember her leaving. It changed us inside. Grandma and Auntie came to abide. Each morning I'd wake and cry for my mum. Didn't she love me? Weren't we any fun? A child staring through a window, trying to comprehend, wanting to know why. My world and security gone. I was alone. The house no longer felt like it was my home. Thin little boy, his leg in irons, a pathetic sight. Sweet little face, no crying out. Pain was an inward fight. I cried, Daddy, where is Mummy? How long will she be? Where is my Mummy? When is she coming home to me? Two frightened children and a heartbroken man, struggling to cope with their pain as best as they can, cared for by their aunt and beloved Nan. Many years later, the pain is still there, buried deep, where our innermost thoughts and secrets we keep. Mummy, how could you leave us? You were our mum. How could you leave Daddy all on his own? I call out to you, but you can no longer hear. Sometimes I wish I'd asked you in your dying year. And for a change of pace. This poem is called Hello, my name is Sally. A cacophony of bips, beeps, bells and announcements, the swish of opening and closing curtains, the whir of wheels and quickly tapping feet. We had arrived at the hospital. Hello, my name is Sally and I'll be looking after you today. I'm just going to take your blood pressure if that's okay. Can you tell me your name and your date of birth? Can you tell me what happened today, and for what it's worth, do you know where you are? Hello, my name is Sharon and I'll be looking after you this evening. We'll need to do blood pressure, ECGs and oxygen readings. Now breathe deeply, sir, your hands are freezing. Would you like a blanket? You are quite cold. Chest pain. Was there any bleeding? When did this begin and how long did it remain, and what have you taken to stop the pain? Hello, my name is Sally. I think we've met before. Now, if you can just swing your feet out onto the floor. We're going for a little walk. Just lean on me, don't try and talk. Here comes your lunch. Soup and roast pork. Now, back to your bed, but you haven't said, how's the dizzy feeling you had in your head? Hello, my name is Janet. Just do a very light little song I wrote. Oh, I'm mad about you. You're the reason for my happy face. Sorry, I've lost it. I'll start again. Oh, I'm mad about you. You're the reason for my happy face. You keep me warm winter through. I'm so mad about you. Oh, the world is a wonderful place when you're in love. Everything shiny and new. Every day summer when you are in love and someone's in love with you. Oh, I'm so mad about you. You're the reason for my happy face. You keep me warm winter through. I'm so mad about, awfully glad about, I'm so mad about you.
Nasty bells. Thanks, Gay. Laura Goodwin. Come on up.
Good. That's
Is it? Goodwin, sorry. What are you going to need?
2 short pieces.
Short people, great. You like this?
Can I hold it? I'll take it out of the stand. Or use whatever I want.
Definitely.
Okay. Thank you. I'm going to get that involved. So. The exhortation of the aging superhero. I always felt the lit battery buzzing deep within me, the certainty that I was born for higher things. My 5-year-old self politely declined offers for Barbie dolls. Karate lessons, please, Mommy. and a chemistry set, preferably one with fissionable materials. The My Little Meltdown kid arrived in due course. Adolescence was precarious. The rage that flares in volatile young hearts and dies away without much consequence was in me something of greater moment. Search Facebook for Great Wollongong Fire of 1997 to donate to the Disaster Recovery Fund. It's a hard knowledge that you matter, forced upon me too soon. I cope using numerous methods, some more salutary than others. My powers combine in deeply alarming ways when I'm on the piss. I learned restraint. I learned intent. I became the dam as well as the torrent, the grammar as well as the wild rush of meaning, the equation as well as the burst of energy. And I see you doing the same. In you, too, is the glowing core of power, of meaning. Understand now before it's too late, and the glory that is in you consumes in a thoughtless moment all you yearn to protect. You. What you don't know about, douche-accusing dude, is the cars that got there first. They drove away before dawn, leaving my car alone, contextless, explainless, yet apparently not blameless, so you flamed me in a note that Rain pasted to the glass. I was impressed. You thought ahead and used a waterproof marker. Meticulous in your righteousness, making sure I got your point. And I did get your point. That outrage warms and fuels and frees and feels so good that there's no point stopping to think who got there first. What odd-angled, hard, and inconvenient shapes had they left for me to try to fit? They drove away before dawn, leaving only those awkward spaces. And my car, bumping too harsh, too happy, too fickle, too finicky, too sticky, too stinging, too clinging, too hand-wringing, too woeful, too awful, too flawed, too fragile, too freakish, too full of awkward, chaotic, and inconvenient life. When these people enrage me with the outrageous thought that they dare to be, that I fear to be, less than pleasing, less than perfect, less than. Let me, I pray, remember that I don't know who got there first and forced them into such shapes of pain and drove away before dawn.
Paul is going to read some poetry.
Which Paul? Which
Oh,
Paul?
sorry. Yeah, this Paul.
This Paul.
We'll get to the other Paul in a minute. I'll write, I'll read a sequence poem in 3 parts, or maybe 2 point, whether you develop it. Part 1, How Big? As I sat in traffic, I pressed the car radio into life. Former Prime Minister of Australia, Gough Whitlam, died last night. The voice on the radio proclaimed he was 98 and had a distinguished political career. The voice went on. Now for some important sports news. The Wallabies coach has resigned amid speculation that sexual impropriety had played a part. We'll cross-promote Alan Jones, himself a former coach of the Wallabies and now a Sydney shock jock. The radio was flicked off in disgust, tears welling, eyes no longer up to driving. Pulling over, I sat and thought. I've been casting my vote for nigh on 50 years, but never more passionately than I did for the big man. Big in stature, big in ego, big his dreams, big his risks, big his vision, big his trust, big his folly, big his rage, big on equality for women, big his understanding of our place in Asia, big on native title, big his concern for our youth in a futile war, big his love for oppressed and marginalised, big his desire for a healthy nation, big his compassion for the aged. He understood that to grow we must invest. He understood investment in our young. He knew it equipped. I have on this latish day of October paused to reflect, not on the month. I have at this sombre moment pondered that we may have had the courage. I have through misty eyes comprehended that which he saw so clearly back then. I have delighted in his voice, loaded as it was with wisdom. I have delighted in his victories, felt sorrowful anger at his demise. I have, like all Australians, benefited from his vision and compassion. Before he left, he took one look around. I wonder, and I'm sure he was bemused. 3. Cathedral of the People. Welcome to country. Allow us to know you. Present your face. Ask us for safe passage through our land. All we ask is, respect our traditions as we respect you. These noble, accepting people, so savagely abused, erased, debased, their only desire to hold on to that which is theirs, this great land from ancient time. This old man dared to dream that all of us could realise our highest goals. This old man lived to see his opponents come to some understanding of his dreams. Had they the courage to realise that his was the way and work with him to find ways to pay for that which we are all entitled, how great then would our nation be? There's no greatness in rancour, there is no vision in the hearts of the myopic. Cameras swept the gathered, seeking familiar faces. Some eyes avoided the lens. As the dignified voice of our first people both praised the old man and admonished the oppressor. Some faces carried incomprehension. How could this be so? How could this be their level of ignorance? How could they, entrusted by us to lead, not fully understand? I saw in the eyes of the architect of dismissal, he who had led this nation to an cusp of greatness into an abyss where compassion no longer existed, where humanity became a commodity. And I'll skip the last 2 stanzas. The spirit of this old man has not departed. It forms the fabric of our new dreaming, a beacon for fairness and tolerance. His spirit will guide us in spite of those who cannot, dare not, are incapable of aspiring to greatness.
Sarah's going to tell us a little bit about a project that she's working on.
I'm waiting for minutes.
What's that?
Hi. So this is a little bit different. I won't be reading anything tonight, but I will be telling you about a local feature film project. My name is Sarah Landberg, and before you ask where my accent is from, I grew up in Finland and I lived in England for 4 years before coming to Australia 4.5 years ago. And I was really lucky to arrive in this area, and I became associated with Marcello, for example, Jürgensen's and Skipper's families. I really fell in love with the artists of this area and just the whole atmosphere of Eltham and Montmorency, Briar Hill. This whole area has just given me a lot, and I'm a filmmaker. I've made short films that have gone to international film festivals. Just one of my recent short films has been in LA a couple of weeks ago, in Toronto, Berlin, a few other international film festivals. And now I'm actually launching into a feature film project. And this is a screenplay that I wrote particularly with Eltham in mind. It's a story of a delusional life drawing model and a rough but charismatic chainsaw sculptor. And you might be laughing, but it's actually a thriller. Maybe I'll make it a little bit comedic as well. Anyway, it's a psychological thriller, and this screenplay that I wrote last year has already won a bronze award in a Hollywood-based competition. So that has given me the confidence that this is really a story that's worth making. Although I've got a few other screenplays that I'm working on, but this is the one that I'm really trying to get going as the first feature film that I'll be making. And there has, since this win in Hollywood and all that, there's been a bit of international interest, and people are telling me maybe you should take this to Hollywood, make it in LA and all that. But because I wrote it for this area, very much with the artists and the arts that happen in this area in mind, I don't want to see it filmed in LA. That would look completely different, and the whole film, I feel, would be very much a different film to the one that I wrote. So for that reason, I'm really pushing to make it here, even if it means a lot smaller budget, even if it means me having to do a lot more work on it. I'm really happy to do all those things because I just beautiful performances. So if you do want to become involved in the actual making of the film, do come and talk to me, because I will have lots of opportunities for local people to become involved in the process as well. And yeah, thank you Busybird Publishing for having me here tonight, and thank you Leslie especially for the help you've already given me. So that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else to say. If you have any questions, I still have some time in my 4 minutes. What's the name of the film? So the name of the film is Innuendo. Thank you.
There might be somebody, scriptwriters or cinematographers or something in the room that might, or they might know someone who can help. So thank you, Sarah, for coming and telling us about that. Of course, we want to support any local projects like that. We have actually done 3 crowdfunding campaigns at Busybird this year that have been successful, so they are a really good way of raising money. The Walk With Me book happened because of a crowdfunding campaign, and there are a couple of other books coming up that we did that with as well. So, you know, $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000 are all helpful amounts to pledge. So thanks for that. Joan has some poetry to read. Come on up.
I'll read it if I can see straight. On a trip back from Alice Springs, this came to me. The big red. The red-brown country was your home. The low bush scrub, your shelter. Myriad wildflowers carpeted your path. Soft grasses, green and brown, breezed as you passed. You traversed land unfettered, free and wild. One night, your bounding stopped. The unknown foe transfixed you. I put my teeth in. With its eyes of light, its dew-coat frame engulfed your massive form. And there you lay, across the steel grey road, but still your red-brown hide retains vestige of velvet dignity, amidst the litter of dead bottles and dead cans. Centre stage. She slowly glides to centre stage with dignity and charm. Her warm and sparkling smile and some few tears disarm her harsher critics. Accompanied by songbirds' throated trills, she loosened folds and frills of brown, greens, reds with burnished golds. And tumbling out came generous gifts of flowers, fruits and grain for her adoring public, a harvest to sustain through coming rain. Long, snowy-beard, frosty hair. She feels a blast of cold. Her prompters bid her leave. Reluctantly, she gathers up her gown. Auburn tresses cascade down to sweep the boards. Amidst applause, autumn makes her exit till next year.
Thanks, Joan. I need my glasses. Kay, Arthur, do you mean poetry or short story?
Very short poetry.
I'm going to read two pieces. The first one is called A Not So Merry Christmas, and it's a very simple piece of poetry, and it captures my memories of my childhood Christmas. Auntie Emmy is waddling down the driveway. It must be Christmas Day. Auntie Emmy only visits on Christmas Day. She brings the pudding. Mum makes the custard. We only ever have pudding on Christmas Day. Lunch is late because Dad is down the pub. Mum asks him not to go, but he goes anyway. We are waiting for him to come home to cut the meat. Dad goes to the pub every day. Mum is banging the pots and pans. She is swearing under her breath. We are hoping that Dad will hurry and be home soon. He comes through the back door. His face is red. He staggers a little as he sharpens the knives to cut the meat. We eat the meat, the potatoes, the bright green frozen peas. We eat the pudding and the custard. Mum makes sure we have a sixpence or threepence in our pudding. She would give us a shilling if she could. We all have to sit in the lounge room to watch the Queen's speech. We don't know why. Dad sits in his chair. I learned something from the old man. And if I shake, it's because I always shake. There was a man who used to be start again, Kate. And don't ding yet, I'm not there. There was a man who liked to be by himself and do his own thing. But people wouldn't leave him alone. They all wanted him to do stuff that he didn't want to do and go places where he didn't want to go. This was because he could do miracles. Now that wasn't his fault, it was probably God's fault. God was his father. Fathers make you do stuff that you don't want to do. It's bad enough having an old man who's like anyone else's old man. But it'd be even worse if your old man was God. Hell, he knows everything that's going on all the time. Omniscient sucks. If it's your old man who's omniscient, I reckon. So it wasn't this geezer's fault that he could do stuff like make blind people see, cure people from diseases that make their hands and feet fall off. Anyway, it ended up that a whole lot of dudes started hanging around with him. Now, don't start feeling sorry for him, though. He asked for it. He was hanging out by himself, saw these dudes and said, "Follow me." And they did. And he was stuck with them. So it serves himself right. They were really dumb bastards, but it turned out that they were about as useful as ticks on a bull. They followed him around like the morons they were. But when it came to it, so nearly done, what good were they? One of them dobbed him in, and one of them skunked away and made out he didn't even know him. He denied him, thrice. What a fuck. Anyway, they ended up sticking this poor geezer up on a cross. He yelled out to his old man, "Nothing! Like I said, being the son of God's be no picnic. My old man's no prize." But when it came to it, he wouldn't bloody forsake me, no way. Anyway, they reckon that wasn't the end of it. Oh, he can't do all right, buried in a tomb, the lot. But they reckon that, wait for it, they reckon that after a couple of days, he was up and about, large as life. They reckon they'd swear on a stack of Bibles. But you've got to wonder, it had to be a bit of a mug to believe shit like that. Sorry, Blaise. I've lowered the tone.
Who shall I put next?
Not me, mine smiles.
Come on.
Okay, I'm just going to read you an excerpt from my second book, and it's called A Room with a Big Yarn. So I'm starting at page 17, and I hope you get the gist of it, because I thought this was a really good place to start. And I'll read fast. That night, Jessica pondered over the warrior card. She had felt helpless because she believed her destiny was linked to Jake. Now she realised that she had to write a new story. Leaving Melbourne, she thought her journey was a matter of coming to Halifax and burying her grief. But it was clear there was a more significant journey to be taken. She felt a compulsion to explore more of these islands and was convinced that this would reveal her path. The next morning, after breakfast, Fred helped Jessica to organise a hire car. She would head off down the coast to the southwest and explore Peggy's Cove and beyond. It took forever for the car to arrive, and she had to complete a sheaf of paperwork back at the car yard before taking off on her big adventure. Finally, she was on the road and immediately got lost, and hello, no maps. She turned into a side street and tried to get her bearings, but was total with his eternally optimistic and cheerful outlook. So, after driving around in circles, she was finally on the road out of Halifax and on Highway 333, which was fairly unexciting as it meandered its way inland. Her elation was shattered by the words of the Dido song on the car radio. I will go down with the ship. I won't hold my hands up and surrender. There will be no white flag above my door. I'm in love, and always will be. Her thoughts were drawn back to Jake, and it was all she could do to stop herself from running off the road through her tears. She hadn't thought about him all day, but now, with nothing to divert her attention, her mind drifted back to the day she left for Canada. I'm taking you to the airport, Jess, Jake said as he walked through the door, and he was acting as though he were the injured party. But she still loved him and somehow felt sorry he was in pain. Can I call you? Against her better judgment, she said yes. Joan drove up just as Jake's car was leaving. What's that asshole doing here? She had been a big victim of betrayal and believed all men were treacherous. He just fronted out of the blue and said he was taking me to the airport. Bastard. I don't know why you ever let me in the door. Joan despised Jake. She said that at least her bastard had given her a child, so that had enriched her life. But Jake had just taken and left Jessica depleted. Now, let's get going and forget about him and Australia and this fucking cold weather. Jessica emerged back onto the road, wiped a tear from her eye, and decided that she was going to get Jake back whatever it took. All he had to do was ask. Soon she had arrived at Peggy's Cove, a picturesque place with fishing boats and lobster traps. There were large boulders littered all over the landscape, and the door card was the lighthouse. Bracing herself against the strong easterly winds, Jessica minced her way unsteadily across the rocky outcrop made slippery by eons of crashing waves. She finally made it to the lighthouse and ascended the narrow spiral staircase. Her steps were worn shiny by the hundreds, no thousands of footfalls that had preceded hers. The view of the Atlantic Ocean was spectacular, and Jessica drew a deep breath and mused, as she always did, at the magnificent power of nature's forces.
Thank you for that. Hall number 2. Paul South, come on up. Paul is going to read stuff.
Actually, yeah, like one's a Facebook post and one's a diary excerpt, and the other one's a sort of poem that's not a poem. So you know, they sort of make a short story as a whole, really. So
Sounds like stuff to me.
yeah, stuff. But I better get cracking. I'm going to make it. I read this one. Oh yeah, they're sort of part of my bird. I've got a book called Paul South's Little Book of Birds, which is coming out in February. It's a tiny little thing, and these sort of form a sequence in it. So this one I read out last month. Apologies, you heard it, but it doesn't work without reading. Canary found. I found a canary today. This is not a poem. He was canary yellow, and he sang like a bird. Still is, canary yellow I mean. Still sings too. Well, not right now. I mean, in the mornings, when I open the blinds. I'm not being funny. Every word is true. I didn't find the canary. He was there to be found. He was hanging around outside a house. He wasn't hanging. He was bouncing along on the pavement. Why is language so draining? The canary found me. This is not a poem. This poem is not a canary.
We're going to have what now?
Alright, Facebook post. Found a sparrow. There's a definite pattern emerging here. He had ants on him, but he was breathing, and when I picked him up he opened his eyes. I blew the ants off, and cupped in my hands I carried him to a vet surgery. They said they'd observe him and give me a call, but that it didn't look good. Shit nature is cruel though. The minute you fall over, ants eat your eyes out. Nice one, God. This is the diary entry. I gave away my canary today to an 80-year-old Korean man, a friend of my dad's. A lovely old couple with a great outdoor aviary in Eltham, all canaries. He was so happy to be there. He was singing his heart out. The old man said my canary was an alpha male. You could tell by his strong voice song. He went as far as to say he could be a show canary. See how his wingtips don't quite touch when he folds them back? That's what you want. That's a good breeder. Apparently the reason he'd been singing so beautifully was because he was trying to find a female. When he gets in the cage, he'll stop singing like that because he can have his pick of the women. He picked up my little cage and opened the aviary door, and "Don't let the canaries out," said his tiny wife. The moment he opened the cage door, my canary jumped out and flew straight to the top of the bamboo scaffoldings. This is also a sign that he's going to be high and peck my aviary of females. Where's my house in the country? When do I get to spread my wings?
Make sure you bring some books to the February. Will they be ready for the February open mic night?
No, I'll let you know that there's going to be a tiny little launch of a magic shop in Brunswick.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Good place Thanks, Paul. Gina. Gina is going to read a work in progress. This is your novel?
Perhaps.
Perhaps?
No, that's not.
Okay.
No, I probably just won't explain. It's probably best. Working title is The Perils of a Near Autistic Girl in the World, A Life in Tangents. Just a working title. I feel sick. The unfriendly juices on the inside are sending a nauseous panic through me. I think I need to go to the toilet. Excuse me. Nope, it's not a physical problem. It just becomes a physical problem. It starts in my hard wiring, the usual glitch. My gut receives the panic messages and spills through to the coves of my organs. Soon it's quite uncontained and I'm polluted to the nerves at the ends of my fingers, the fibres of my hair and the air around me. Now it's an emergency rescue without an emergency hotline. If I Google search, what am I going to do? Will I get a sensible answer? I know the answer. You are going to do everything you have to, nothing you dreamed of, and you are condemned to feel the elusiveness of a rich fulfilment that you assume lies on the other side of the hill. It's a very climbable hill. It's not the imagery of a mountain crying to be conquered that I'm going for here. It's a doable, disciplined, no-risk hill. Small and unworthy of fanfare. No one has noticed it, so no one has named it. But because it's there, it threatens. And that's really irrational because I put it there. Now I'll tell you all the metaphoric worries of the other side of the hill, because although I assume there to be a lushness of colour, fragrance and beauty in the vista from the hill, I know there could be a cliff, a roaring ocean, or a lava pit and a swarm of bees. And those threats are awful, but there is one that is far worse. I imagine climbing the hill, encouraged, jubilant, satisfied, and there is nothing. I try to tell myself that perhaps it is good to have a place to journey towards, but it's the journey that matters in the end. And I think about a new Google search. Why can't I relax and enjoy the journey? Again, I know the answer. I have a glitch. I feel sick and I'm paralysed with minestrone soup up to stand. Interesting and more interesting. Metaphor central or message from above. My nausea dissipates. My brain is flicking switches. My literal interpretation is keep dishing up more of the same and get the same disaster. More philosophically, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. Is that correct English? I choose to put it more positively. Stop resisting, put down your weapons, climb the fucking hill and rise above the hordes beyond attack. Easy and simple. It's the answer I've come to 1,000,000 times before because, of course, I know the answer. Do you think I'm stupid to answer that? Let's get back to easy and simple. What am I doing again? No resistance. Climb and rise beyond all. Right. Okay. Good. I know I have to name that hill. First, I'll just make a coffee.
Thanks, Gina. While I've been sitting here tonight, I was thinking one way that we could help Sarah with her cause is Busybird will donate everything that's in the donation jar, you know, the gold coin donation. So if you want to put extra in there tonight, and then we'll put it up on your pledge. Okay? If you want to put a few more gold coins in there, it'll go to a good cause.
And then can we be actors in the film?
Coral, come on down. Coral's reading the short story, My Friend Harry.
This is one of the first stories I wrote when I started writing a while ago. The light was on out the back and I could just see him standing beside the lemon tree smoking. Harry had come to live with us after the war as he was single and most of the available housing was allocated to families. He'd been married to my father's sister before the war, and while he was in France she took up with an American sailor and followed him to Kansas. We had a small bungalow at the back of our weatherboard house and he lived there, sharing the yard with 2 goats brought in to keep the grass down. I would often see him leaning against the fence, stroking their heads and talking to them quietly. He used the wash house outside the back door, other than when he stoked the chip heater for his weekly bath, but my mother insisted he eat with us and after a while he became part of our family. I loved Harry. He was so gentle and quiet. He always answered my interminable questions. When I asked why his hair was white, he said it was because of the war. My father told me Harry had black hair before the war, but the stress of all the bad things he saw turned it white. Why didn't your hair go white? I asked. Dunno, he said. Guess I can take more than poor old Harry. Sometimes Harry's hands shook, but when I asked him what was wrong, Mum took me by the shoulders and pushed me out the door, telling me not to come back till I had some manners. Harry, why don't you get married? I asked him. No, he said, who'd marry me? I would if I was older. He chucked me under the chin, and I'd marry you. We were wandering through the bush near the small country town where my father ran the local garage. We lived at the end of the long main street on the edge of what would eventually be a national forest. So there was no shortage of nature for us, Harry and me. Look at that, he said. A lorikeet had landed on a branch directly in front of us and was screeching its dominance to us in the forest. That's a scaly breast. There's orange under his wings. When he flies, you'll see. The bird took off and Harry watched it, mesmerised. I watched Harry watching the bird. It was as easily as fascinating to me as anything he could show me.
He was different to the other men I knew. He saw me for one thing. No one took much notice of 10-year-old girls. And he was generous. I know he would have shared anything with me if he'd had anything to share. His time was what I wanted, and he gave me that. He worked for my father part-time at the garage, pumping petrol, repairing tyres, picking up spare parts from the railway station. Easy stuff, my father had answered when I asked about Harry. When he became thin, I told him he should eat more. He agreed with me. He always agreed with me, and it made me feel important. Eventually, I had to admit that Harry was sick. I wish you weren't sick, Harry, I said. Me too. Will you get better? Probably not. Harry never used many words, so when he spoke, I listened. I started crying. Don't cry, he whispered. Everything's fine. You're not going to die, are you? I might. I didn't go to the funeral. Mum didn't make me. I went down to the creek where Harry used to show me where the eels hid and had tadpoles turned into fat frogs. Thanks, Harry, I said to the trees. Thanks for looking after me. A breeze rippled through the branches and I thought I heard, don't forget, you promised when you're older you'd marry me.
Thanks, Coral. Pamela? Oh, no memoir tonight? No. No fairy tale? Fairy tale. Cool. Pamela's going to read a fairy tale called The Magical Christmas Star.
Yes.
Thank you.
Actually, I wrote this last year, but I've rewritten it for tonight, and I hope it'll give you a bit of a laugh. The Magical Christmas Star. Excitement reigned in the village as relatives and friends anticipated joining in Christmas Eve celebrations. Usually the villagers held carols at the church, looking forward to enthusiastically by the children. This year it was to be being held in the village square. Raffles and community events were held to raise money to purchase a huge tree, and a spectacular star, made in Finland, was sent by special courier. It took several strong men. Broken lights and wires obliterated the square. The tree stood firm, with a shattered star below. The mayor called an urgent meeting at the town hall. We've got the manpower to clean up the mess, and a free drink for you all if the procession goes ahead. An explosion of hands shot up as they all spoke at once. But the star, screamed in the red mother. The kids will be disappointed. The carols will go ahead. The mayor stated loudly. The mess will be cleared, and we'll put carols on the lower branches of the tree, but there's no time to replace the star. This appeased most people. The fairy queen heard of the villagers' misfortune and summoned Wanda, the naughty fairy who was never on time and was helping Santa Claus choose gifts for good children to atone for her sins. She approached the queen, tinsel plopped on her head, tummy full of forbidden goodies, iPads and phones dangling from her wrist. But what can I do? I'm only a small fairy. Why choose me? Your talent is your grace and love of people. Tomorrow, before the celebrations begin, you must fly to the top of the Christmas tree, and I'll transform you into a bright silver star. But I'll freeze to death. No, dear Wanda, you'll be warm, and your glow will be seen all over the village, and I'll send my honourable friend Busybird to sing and keep you company. He has a superb soprano voice, and at the moment he's busy rehearsing his choir for the Christmas Day celebrations for the animals. Ooh, yes. But as if on cue, Busybird flew down and gently facing Wanda, told her he'd protect her. At twilight, the church bells rang as the villagers singing wholeheartedly approached the square. A faint light appeared on top of the Christmas tree. It twinkled and grew brighter until it enveloped the entire tree in its shimmering light and was gazed at lovingly by the children. Busybird, perched on top of the star, joined in singing the carols with a puffed up chest and joy in his heart. Other villagers from afar marvelled at the miracle, but after the celebrations, the star had inexplicably disappeared, and no sight of the wonderful singing bird. On Christmas Day, Busybird, delighted at his success, directed his choir to
You can tell that Busybird's famous. I love that word, cavorted. Word, isn't it? Max Lee. Come on. Max is going to read some poems.
Just two short little poems. So the first one is called The Commuters. We sit on trains ensconced in tombs, like specimens enclosed by glass, each one a child of someone's womb, turned into one commuting class. We sit apart, we hide our eyes, lest they should touch another's face. We read our daily dose of lies, we look at walls, we look at space. We long to speak, we long to feel the warm embrace of other lives, but we must solemnly conceal these clandestine and shameful drives. So we commune with pads and phones, we clear our throats and tap on pains. We do what decency condones and count the dreary drops of rain. And the second poem doesn't have a title. It goes like this. A grim and brutal war was fought over his life's disputed land. Between their armies he was caught, his cold disdain, her stifling hand. Their conquering ambitions clashed, each one intends to claim its prize. Between them he was dragged and lashed, and was adored and was despised. Within his mind they battled still, her precious child, his failed man. Never shall one the other kill, they try and try, but neither can.
Good to see some new faces. Philip Gardner. Is Philip still here? Yes. So, you're going to do some songs? Yes? Cool. You need to plug in? Do you want me to put someone up while you get ready?
Take a second.
Okay, cool. Well, think of it too. All of the images on the walls can actually be ordered as prints.
It's for the first 3 minutes.
Just tune out, that'll be the fun.
I'm waiting for the end of the sentence. So much.
You have a good band.
Should do, shouldn't it? Recently, the songs start coming together a bit. So I'll do this properly.
That's my favourite performance.
Right, good.
No one.
Recently, I've started to put things on music sharing websites. Thank you to the digital age. It's a wonderful thing, your ability to perform with people from all over the world. And what that means, of course, is you only sing the song once or twice, and so tonight is I'm singing it for the first time live in front of real people, and it's a little bit scary. It's called Come to Me. When the rain is coming through, and the wind is in your eyes, all that has been true is not so clear. When the nights are getting dark and the days are stealing gray, wake up feeling full of doubt and fear. then come to me. You can come to me. Together we'll embrace all that was new. Please come to me. Reach out to me. 'Cause then I'll know that I can come to you. When the breeze starts to caress you, when the sun breaks through the clouds and see the world with a smile upon its face, when the days are full of laughter and the nights of sweet repose, and you feel there's not a moment you can waste, then come to me. You can come to me. Together we'll embrace all that was you. Please come to me. You can come to me. Then I'll know that I can come to you. Let's face the morning. Let's fly to France. Let's be outrageous. Let's take a chance. Other winds from the southern ocean getting in your bones. What do you feel today could be your day? Are you looking for an answer? Are you looking for a deal? Are you lost or have you found your way? Well, come to me. You can come to me. Together we'll embrace all that was new. Come to me. Reach out to me. 'Cause then I'll know that I can come to you. Then I'll know I can come to you.
Thanks, George. Hopefully you can come again. Great. Sorry, not George, Philip.
But George is
George
welcome.
next. Where's George? George Eltis?
Yep.
Yes, come up here, George. Sorry, mixing you one up. How you going? Song of Lydia. Your story?
Story I wrote for a long time, and I worked with Maya at good old Sarah up there, and started talking about England, and I wrote this story about the amazing society of secret female shamans tackling backwards of Finland, reindeer country. And I really thought, I'd like to get an honest opinion of other people. Any honest opinion. See if I can wear it. And yeah, that's when I was in the beginning, created to the end. This is basically how the finishes the work. Here we go. Lydia stood with her back to the wall, facing the white light of the crushing sun. She had eased herself to the stool she was on, and it was a strain. At 49, she was no longer the slim, dark-haired, licensed beauty of her 20s, but in her earthly maturity, she was still strong and buxom. Looking towards the mountains near Trinus, where she lived, more and more memories were taking over at this time in her life. The memory of her encounter with Hamuz the wolf started to peel back her thoughts. It was not that long ago when she was a young woman in the time of her becoming a woman of sight as a seer. It was when Ulla, her teacher, summoned the great guardian of the mountain, that her Protestant fellow comes called Angel. The stride she now took was exactly the same step of deliberation that Lydia had taken before all those years ago. moving rapidly through the snowdrifts, knowing well how quickly the wind could wrap her blinding through if she did not. Standing there with her eyes closed, the white glare of the sun seeped through her eyelids as she allowed herself to drift back with her thoughts to those precious weeks in her life in hearts. The one flame in her life was still in her heart. It was in those last days in October as a woman in the seer that she had become accepted as an initiate in the clan with fellow sisters. It was a time when she had been greeted by death's doorkeeper, when she had been privy to hidden knowledge as to influence the course of her battle. It was at this time that she now stands here, recounting all that happened, that Lydia's story now begins. Lydia was mindfully moving with the slow-paced gait of a cat, crushing over her waves. So long ago now, and in kind, all were brought back Lydia too. It was now a long lost time when she first learned to manifest by the sound of her voice, and living the life of the seer became the only life Lydia would know. It was all that first taught her to manifest the power of the wind, the presence in her thoughts that was becoming stronger now, growing with each stroke, and the memory of the limbs of the stalk now started to take over. First, the dreamer. Is this a dream I am having? Hans was sleeping. First there was darkness, then silence. At least that's the way Hans remembered it before he lost consciousness. First the light, now the wind, and it was already heading, and it was hard to breathe. Perhaps 15 minutes had passed since he came to an end. And staggering around, he slid down into a snowdrift like a soggy drunkard, up and down once more. And again, as more handfuls of snow kept tumbling back down. It was his guide, Yusuf, who was standing beside Bella, gave Hans a tug, freeing him out of the hole he was in, as he walked over the hot face, lying, panting into the ground. Released him.
Has everyone done their little poppers? What do you call it? They're poppers, aren't they? Bonbons, crackers. Do one with your partner, and if anyone gets a good joke, you have to tell it. Dan. And if anyone comes up with a good joke, just come up and read it. So we've got Dan here now, and he's some short stories.
Two brief glimpses of life, perhaps something irreverent. Shiny Man. I was visiting a migrant detention centre. It should be called a prison camp for those who might die if they don't come here. But many have given up hope here because of the length of their detention. I'm a human rights lawyer specialising in refugee status issues. The new government commissioned me to help speed up the process of getting these people out of the community and back where they came from, if they really were. There's something about his face that niggled at me. His story was typical. He'd been a teacher in Ninh when Mao came through with his army. He fled, ending up in Hong Kong. He found work there as a gardener for an Australian expat family living near Hong Kong airport. When the Chinese perpetrated the atrocities in Tiananmen Square, he agitated against the regime. When Hong Kong returned to Chinese control, he had to flee again. Was it possible? My father had worked at the airport in Hong Kong, and we had a Chinese gardener who'd been a teacher in China. I asked him to tell me something more about the family he'd worked for. As he talked, the hair stood up in my arms and I shivered. The old man grew silent and looked hard at me. Then he nodded. I am who you once called Shiny Man. I was 5 when my family moved to Hong Kong, where we lived for 4 years. My mother used to send me outside. He taught me a lot about Chinese culture and about life. I grew to love him. One day when I was 8, I was playing on the seawall near our house and I slipped and fell in. I couldn't swim. I was floundering and repeatedly going under, and a hand grabbed me by the arm and dragged me out. It was Shiny Man. Tears came to my eyes as I remembered all those years back. I realised that in many ways things can come full circle, as the two of us had. I told him in Cantonese, now I and save you. And another brief one. Dolphin dreaming. Kimberly, my 2-year-old, was singing non-stop in her car seat behind me. I glanced at her in the mirror and saw her swimming her grey dolphin, a soft toy, and every now and then kissing it on the nose. I smiled, a warm feeling suffusing me. We were driving back south to Perth from Shark Bay, where we had walked among the dolphins. It was a pilgrimage for me, having last seen the dolphins there as a toddler more than 30 years ago. "Get fish, Grandma," Kimberly sang. "Why did you call the dolphin Grandma?" Kim behind her, out through the back window of the car. "Do you mean where we saw the dolphins?" She thought for a moment and then nodded enthusiastically. "Grandma in water! Grandma, swim!" I pulled the car over as quickly as I dared and breathed deeply and slowly to calm my body down. I was having a terrible bout of déjà vu. My head swam as I recalled wading into the sea all that time ago and having a baby dolphin come swimming up to me and nuzzling gently against my tiny body. I had called out to my mother, "Look, Mum, Granny." My mother had laughed dismissively and I'd said no more. I'd stroked the shiny, smooth creature and spoken quietly to my grandmother who had died almost a year earlier. Streamed from my eyes. Could it be? How could my daughter know this? It was as if she'd heard my thoughts and answered them. "Grandma told me." Shocked, I asked, "What did Grandma tell you, darling?" "Grandma told me." I tried a different tack. "When did she tell you?" "Before," she hesitated. "Before you made me."
That's it for the readers. Has anyone got any good jokes? I was there.
Yeah,
Not bad.
Do Lin and Joe have any energy for one song together?
Yeah. Do what?
A song?
You name one of them.
A duet? We want to see one go out with one song?
Yeah.
This is, spoiling. While we're waiting,
Where's Joe?
please hang around. Starting to get you want to run away. Please hang around for more supper afterwards. Don't forget to put in more donations so we can give it to Sarah's project. And please hang around and talk to Sarah and see how we can all help. So I hope everyone has a wonderful... That's okay. That's fine.
Sorry.
I'd like to say to everyone... Okay, so everyone sing. Just going to do some more tuning.
I've heard this one before.
This would not get from me.
I'm going to get out of the way. It's gone blank.
Was born in the middle class town. She could have gone up and he could have gone down, but she just went round and round on a downward spiral. One morning so very fine, saw the way the moon did shine straight on down the wayward line, southwards all of survival. Couldn't been a lady, she couldn't been a wife. She fell into the river of life, swimming in a pool of trouble and strife. She really loved the danger, out the river of life it rolls and flows. Drunk by the banks where the rambles grow, swimming around in the trouble and strife, way down low in the river of life. Now the hills are thorns and valleys explored, rambling like she was gypsy born, traveling on through weather and storm without a thought for danger. She was young and looking for fun, thinking of things she had never done, so lost in sweet oblivion. She welcomed in a stranger, like the stranger he was a wanting ring. Took all the money and he called her a plague. river of life that rolls and flows down by the banks where the brambles grow, swimming around in trouble and strife, way down low, the river of life. Now the woman of character wins in the end. River of life has been her friend. Don't trail apart like a two of stars. The river of life has made her, and like a flood, she'll shine and rise. High as the hills in the clear blue skies. Never was a lady, but she was wise, and nothing has to change her. Oh, in the light of this river of life, she fell into the river of life, swimming in a pool of trouble and strife. She really loved the danger. Now the river of life rolls and flows down by the banks where the brambles grow, swimming around in trouble and strife, way down low. How could I give my heart to a bastard like that? Yeah. Please, Mr. Bastard, can I have my heart back? Too much fiction and not enough fact. Well, love isn't blind, but he can't see around corners. How could I give my money to a bastard like that? Please, Mr. Bastard, can I have my money back? I didn't pay for all of that crap. Well, love isn't blind, but it's got the wrong glasses on. I try to live my life in an innocent haze, away from the blues and the downcast days. Well, gone are the highs and the passionate sighs when there's too many lies. True love dies. How could I give my time to a bastard like that? Please, Mr. Bastard, can I have my time back? I didn't want to spend it like that. Love isn't blind, but it's got the wrong glasses on. Love, 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 love. Money, 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 money. Love isn't blind, but it can't see around corners.
Coming, everybody. If anyone would like to receive our monthly newsletter, please put your name on our mailing list if you aren't already on it. And please hang around and have some more supper. Thanks.
Get some bread. No, that's just the signing book. I think it's right at the top, I think.
Yeah.